Well, good morning, good evening, good grief. Uh, my name is William Lawson, and fightbackmedia.com, 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 and Fightback Media TV. My friend you see to my, I don't know if you're looking at it, if he's going to be on my left or on my right, is my ride or die Paul Swanson from the Swanson Report. PaulSwanson.com, 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 PaulSwanson.com. And we are here because it's one of those things, Paul, where we found out finally what everybody kind of already knew. The Durham report came out finally. About, I don't know, a year and a half or almost 2 years later than we thought we'd get any message from it. It came out, and we found out. Well, Paul, what did we find out?
Did we find out anything?
What did everybody else? What did everybody else find out?
Everybody else, I'm not sure that anybody else found out anything
The
other
people who
than,
weren't paying attention. What did they
well,
find?
yeah, for the people who weren't paying attention, yes, John Durham can actually generate a governmental report of 316 pages. Above and beyond that, it's a it's a where's the beef? It's a nothing burger. It's not a whole lot of anything that I don't think there's any real bombshells. I haven't had a chance to, like I said, I haven't had a chance to read through all 316 pages. We need a sponsor for printer and paper so we can print the thing
Yeah,
out.
and some interns.
Yeah,
And some interns.
and to do a little bit of search stuff. But you know, for those of us who with a couple of working synapses and a brain cell, going through what the report overall shows is what we knew all along. Hey, not hey, we were right, nanny nanny boo boo,
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think that's it. I think you're absolutely right. We found out that all of us were saying that all of this Russia was ridiculous and it was nonsensical. We found out that there was absolutely no cause for any of it to even start. The Steele dossier, or as our friend Sean Hannity calls it, the dirty dossier, um, was not. It was supposedly verified, but it was unverifiable, as he said, I don't know, 42 times on his show this afternoon. And we found out that this was all really political, and
Oh yeah.
it was all a scheme cooked up by the Hillary Clinton campaign. And you know what? And but if you said that, I don't know, 3 years ago or 2.5 years ago, that'd get you kicked off Twitter.
Well, yeah, and if you were paying attention at all, and you and I've written about it, and we have probably discussed it several times
Yeah.
since 2016, maybe, that actually, if you go back, Politico was the one who had first published that the Hillary's campaign and the Democrats were at that time, before the presidential election even began, were already talking about impeachment.
When the dude was coming down the escalator,
Yeah,
they were talking about
exactly.
impeachment.
April of that year. And it's like, all right, it's set up that's what they've said. So, it's, if you were paying, it's just amazing that, yes, like you said, everything that the report has is pretty much we knew about 2016, 17, 18, all of that sort of stuff. And as intensive as people have been about that, on the flip side, since 2020, they have been less than intensive, not interested, could care not one iota about what's currently going on with the administration.
No, no. Oh, the Biden crime family? No, not at all. Um, I said it. I said it. Biden crime family. No, they don't care. And Hunter and the laptop that again, and somebody had a really interesting point tonight. I was listening to Jesse Kelly, I guess, on the way home, and which I am prone to do every now and again if I get off early. But what someone's mentioned is that what we don't really get is that the FBI and the intelligence community has decided that they can interfere effectively with a presidential campaign. They did it, obviously, they did it, with Russia, and again with suppressing all the the Hunter Biden laptop and all of those
Correct.
things
Yep.
by getting with the major tech companies, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all that stuff, YouTube, and making sure that that story got squashed, and the people who are pushing it got squashed as well, while they had possession of the laptop the whole time. Well, they knew that it wasn't Russian disinformation, that it was all true, and these people knew that. Just as John Brennan goes to, and I think that's in the report too, Paul. John Brennan goes to President Obama at the time, knowing what was going on, and briefed him the lie.
Right. And
He
that was
briefed Obama what the
yep,
lie was.
yep. And I posted about that today at paulswanson.com that, Brennan's a major, player in this, continuing to do that. And to go back to your your thought on the, election interference. There was a report today, and I think I posted about this too, that the Zuckerbucks monies are flowing into the state of Illinois because they have gotten a grant to house and, quote unquote, secure voting machines in the state of Illinois.
They have gotten a grant to secure voting machines.
Yep, they've got a grant to improve or renovate a warehouse somewhere in, I think in the Chicago area, and
What the hell
yeah.
is that? What were they doing with the voting machines before? Just keep it out on the sidewalk somewhere under a tarp? What were they doing before?
Yeah, well, no, it was all kept. They were all kept in the precinct captain's basements or something.
Yeah.
I remember I grew up in Chicago, so
So they were all kept in the garage out there and just rolling
yeah,
them out.
that's right. That's right. Hey, that was the good old days of doing. It was way before we used pen and paper. They were the old big iron machines. You walked in, you threw the big lever to one side, which closed the curtain behind you, and you had metallic things that little levers you flipped.
And then when you
Yes,
pull the
I'm that
curtain
old.
back, and then they would count,
It
they
would
would tabulate the
suppose it,
vote.
yeah, then they'd all reset. But it was, yeah. Yes, I'm that old.
I think I've used one. I think I've used it once. Yeah, I could have only used it one time. And because then we had the hanging chads.
Oh yeah.
Actually, we didn't have the hanging chads. In Palm Beach County had a hanging chad. Here in Hillsborough, we figured that out. So I don't know why it was so difficult for them. We did that for a long time, and then we went to the Scantron sheets here. No, we spent 1 year with the touchscreens, I think, one cycle with the touchscreens, and then back to the Scantron sheets. So I felt like I was back in school again.
That's right. Yep.
Filling a circle.
That's
Filling a
right.
circle.
That's right. That's right.
So that's what we're using now. So Zuckerberg gave Illinois money
I
and a
think to the
grant.
tune of about $500,000.
500,000. First of all, this is for what area of Illinois? Like one specific area of Illinois, or
Um, let's go to the videotape. Oh, where did I see that? I read it. I'd have to look it up. I thought I had posted about that today.
I'm actually on paulswanson.com, paulswanson.com, and that's Swanson with an E,
That's right.
S-E-N, because it's Swedish.
That's right.
See,
Um,
I remember half the stuff you tell me.
yeah, I would have to. I'd have to look for that. I thought I had. We were trying to get much more stuff out for the Durham, the Durham silliness and nonsense today. So I, but yeah, it would only make sense that it would be done in the Chicago, probably in Cook County somewhere.
Yeah, and that's what I'm thinking. That, and again, I go back to the same question. What were they doing before? Really? I can't imagine they were just like, oh, precinct captains, just keep this in your house. Make sure nobody knows. Keep it under a tarp.
Yeah, it's kept in that room that nobody is supposed to go into.
There you go. The secret room. Where all the couches are covered in plastic. It's in that room.
Yeah, exactly.
It's in that room. That's crazy. Okay.
Yeah, but
So we talked
I,
about before we came on, all the people and all the entities, especially the FBI. The FBI has egg on their face big time, or should have egg on their face big time, as the rest of the intelligence community, as well as NBC, ABC, CBS, MSNBC, CNN, did I miss
Department
some?
of Justice,
Department of Justice. All people should have egg on their face.
and with
But
the price of eggs these days,
but do they?
no,
But do they? Because immediately we were going to see that, oh, this is nothing, and we heard that from the MB, the MSLSD people. We heard that immediately. That was, of course, and you've heard me say this a lot of times, Paul. These people aren't going to have a Paul on the road to Damascus moment and
no.
throw their hands up and go, "Oh, Lord have mercy, I have been so evil," and throw themselves down on the mercy of Christ. They're not going to. They're going to hold on to these lies and this corruption until they go to the grave. I mean, until they go to their grave. So we're never going. We talked about this before we went on. The hard part is that the satisfaction that people want to feel. Don't worry about it because there will be nothing done. This is it.
Yeah,
This is it. If you enjoy the feeling of being right, this is all you're going to get. Is the feeling of being right. And with that, do you think that these people have been deterred in any way from continuing this activity?
Gee, is this a multiple choice?
Yes. And on this one,
No, no,
there are two answers: no and hell no.
and not even close. No, they're not going to. And it's sad that people continue to wallow in this, I guess, for lack of a better term. That it is just completely. I sometimes wonder, gee, what could these people be doing? What could these entities be doing, to to otherwise to address current things that are going on rather than this fixation on Donald Trump, and let's push everything aside about Hunter Biden, and let's let's not pay attention to the kid who says the king doesn't have any clothes on. you know you it's just, yeah, it's let nobody is looking, is everybody sees but is not, or is afraid to say anything about the turd in the punch bowl.
Well, simple stuff like why is the Justice Department denying Freedom of Information Act on the visitors in the Biden, in the Biden vacation house, Biden's house, where he has visitors? Why is that list not being made available? Why is the Justice Department denying those Freedom of Information Acts by people like the Washington? I mean, about like the New York Post and the like. Who's going in and out?
Yep. Well, yeah.
Somebody said, I think they're doctors. I think that place is a hospital.
It could be, and like I said, yeah, everybody is afraid to point out the obvious, and it's not just with the guy at the top, but it's with the VP, it's with the press secretary, it's with, the list is, what's the word? What's the phrase from the original Top Gun? The list is long and distinguished.
It's a hot mess. It really is.
Yeah,
it is a hot mess. And you're right. No one is pointing out what's going on, and the press is, of course, they're in cahoots. They're not interested. No one is. It doesn't serve any of their interests.
no,
To turn and go, but look at this crap here. They're not going to.
Nope.
And I know that we're getting off topic, so don't tell me that we're getting off topic in the comments. So shut up.
It's our show. We can do what we want.
I'm off topic already. I woke up off topic. It's interesting that when this group of Republicans in the House decided to decide, even after 4 years of Trump, to do something that makes sense when you're talking about the debt ceiling. Yes, okay, so we're going to handle this particular instance, but then talk about, and we know what DC cuts are, Paul. DC cuts aren't real cuts. They are cuts in how much they were going to spend.
Exactly.
Okay, so don't get it twisted. Nobody is actually cutting money from anybody.
Nope. No, we're just not going to spend that money we're not going to spend as much as we had thought we might spend.
They had planned X. So now it's going to be X minus 1. And they consider that a cut.
Yep.
When it's actually an increase. Well, that's what we're really talking about, which makes it even more ridiculous that, you got, and I didn't know I was working. Did the president leave for Asia today, or did he actually leave? Because I know he was supposed to be on a plane.
Does he know that he's left?
Well, we're going to find that out, aren't we? He's going to wake up and Dr.
Where
Jill,
are we? Yeah.
And Dr. Jill's going to have his hot chocolate for him and his slippers, and I mean he's going to have jet lag, poor fellow. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. But I think the G6 is meeting, so I think he was headed to the G6. I don't know if he knows he was headed to the G6, but supposedly that's where he was headed. But
here you go. Go get on this plane and
yeah, we're going for a walk, Joe. Okay, going for a walk. Yes, you can have ice cream when you get there, sir. Yes, you can. 2 scoops for you, you bet. But it seems like, so they're having this meeting about the debt ceiling, and the Republicans for the first time have something that sounds like, well, that makes a little bit of sense. Even if you understand what DC cuts really are, there aren't. How does the machine that we're talking about, and it's the very same machine we talked about with Russia, it's the very same machine. How do they not decide on this particular issue, we are going to behave reasonably? And say, you know what? I think the Republicans have a good idea here.
Because they have their own talking points and they don't want to stray from those. And they're going to, come hell or high water, they're going to continue to do that regardless. And it's a mindset. The same thing happened with the what did I post on the what was it? Talk amongst yourselves while I talk amongst yourselves. I know what it was. Oh yeah, it was the vote, the House's vote to secure the border. and that happened, late last week.
Hmm.
The Secure the Border Act. It passed 219 Republicans to 0 Democrats.
Why?
And it's like, yeah, guys, do we need to know anything else about the Democrats? Going back to Durham's, and has DeSantis or and I don't know anybody else. I know what Joe Kennedy Jr. Um, has said it that they really need to, or there has been proffered that they really need to take a look at the FBI and the Department of Justice and make some serious changes. Now, again, like everything else, yeah, may or may not happen, but I don't know if anybody else is talking about it.
But who can? The problem is that you can't leave the reform to the people who are the corrupt.
Right. Well, exactly.
Um, who was it? I saw. I heard. I think he was on Hannity. The dude, the Indian dude who's running for president. What's his name?
Yeah, he's right on everybody's lips, right?
Well, yeah. I first of all, I can't pronounce his name right now because I haven't said it enough. But he said that, and the only way that you can make those adjustments in these organizations is to disband them almost,
Yep.
and then
But
hire new people.
yep. And getting even further into the weeds, I remember, what was it, 2 or 3 months ago, there was some talk of monies being allocated for a brand new edifice for the FBI to get rid of their big building, in Arlington or wherever it is.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to build them a brand new state of the art stuff, and that has sort of disappeared.
Well, yeah, because it's not, it's one of those things that politically right now is probably not the best thing to have in the forefront. That after all this, yeah, we're going to reward them with a nice new shiny building. Um, Not that they're not going to get a nice new bright shiny building. We're just not going to talk about it.
Yeah, that's more than likely the case. But like you said, yeah, the overall it needs to be dismantled, and I don't believe the FBI is. I don't know if that's been executive order or where that falls in the structure of things. Department of Justice might be a little harder to do some house cleaning in or housekeeping. The FBI, I think, could probably be.
Doesn't everybody at the FBI serve at the pleasure of the president?
I would, yeah, that would be my first guess.
Because if he appoints, if the president appoints the head of the FBI, it would seem to me that everybody, and now you can comment in the comments, serve at the pleasure of the president. So it would seem like they could start firing folks. They could just chop it down to the rank agents, and because I know I'm still sort of Pollyannish, what in this sense. I think for the most part, the agents who go out there and do the dirty work every day, for the most part, they're fine. They're there for the right reasons. It's like a lot of these bureaucracies, they're not only dirty from the bottom up, they're dirty from the top down.
Right.
And you got because in order to change the culture, that's what you have to do. Um, and I think that may be possible, but in the meantime, you really have to disrupt the entire thing, um, and then decide that you're going to redesign the agency and give them very, very narrow parameters to operate in, um, and then have massive penalties that you actually do when people operate outside of those parameters. We talked about this years ago, Paul. These agencies and all of them. I mean, every one of them: FBI, CIA, the EPA, the Department of Education, the Department of Energy, all of them they have these agency loyalties that outlive administrations. It's like when I was teaching. If you had a principal that you didn't like, it was too hard to fire you because it took a long time. So you figured out no matter what, you could just do whatever the hell you wanted to do because you were going to outlive the principal at that school anyway.
Right.
Because they were going to be gone and you were still going to be there. And a lot of these agencies have that agency loyalty mentality that they're not loyal to the to the administration. They're not loyal to the citizens. They're loyal to the agency, to the organization. They're loyal to the CIA. They're loyal to the FBI. They're loyal to the EPA. They're loyal to the Department of Energy, the Department of Education, and that's what they're loyal to. And making sure that that agency survives and thrives and grows, and their power grows. So we have to find some way to break that culture. Now, I don't even know if it's possible.
Well, I just did a little quick search here. If the head of the FBI is nominated by the president and confirmed by the Senate, and the FBI director serves a typical 10-year term, although they can be dismissed by the president, like Comey was before the end of their term. And now the rank and file are not political appointees, but they are career civil servants.
Yes.
So, and that's a whole other, and we have family members who are, within the government. And yeah, if you got somebody above you who's a pain in the butt, yeah, it's hard to get rid of them or hard to move somewhere else.
Yeah.
So yeah, it has to be, and I think Trump had started to do some restructuring of some of the civil service type of stuff. And I do know that having served in the military and stuff, and just like you said, it is hard to get rid of the bad apples because they can't get fired. Once they're entrenched, they're pretty well there.
So is there a solution?
Yes, keep listening to us. We have to keep we're the only place that's going to be, on top of stuff. Shameless plug that it is, but
shameless self-promotion. I love it.
That's right. Well, I mean, hey, we're the few, the proud who continue to point. We continue to say, hey, the emperor has no clothes, and
the emperor is buck naked in the street, and he looks drunk. So could somebody help him, please? And that is the truth. You know what? And I don't know, Paul. I don't know if the American people, for the most part, understand what's happening to them. I think that we have this, especially with these law enforcement agencies, and this happens all the way from your local police. We like to believe, especially as conservatives, that as law and order conservatives, that we have to, at every turn, back the law enforcement agencies. And I think that as real conservatives, you can only back the law enforcement agencies as long as they're enforcing the law, not
Correct.
when they're breaking it.
No.
And I think that we have this undying loyalty to these entities, just because we're supposed to back the blue or whatever that is. But when they're breaking the law, when they're breaking their own oaths, then I think that idea that we have to back them, at every turn at all costs, I think that they sort of break that covenant.
Yep.
And we have to point it out. And we see a little bit of it at every level. We see local cops that are completely out of control, and local police departments and sheriff's departments or state police departments that are completely out of control that have broken the law. And it is okay. It is in the defense of law enforcement to point that out and demand a change.
Yep.
and I think it's at the same level, Paul. I think that if we see the FBI, the CIA, and these other and the Justice Department breaking laws, I think it's perfectly okay for conservatives to call them out.
No, not only just conservative, anybody who says, no, that doesn't look right. That does not pass the smell test.
Yeah, yeah. So I think it's perfectly okay to do that. But and I mentioned conservatives, in particular, because we have this thing that we're supposed to, back the blue and support all our law enforcement agencies, and we are, and when we can, we should,
Yep,
except when they're doing wrong.
exactly.
We got to be strong enough and bold enough to say, that behavior does not represent me. That behavior does not follow the law. And if we're going to be a nation of law, the law enforcement agency have to be way out front of that and not doing things that are shady for all sorts of nefarious political reasons that we can't have. We can't
Correct.
exist as a republic if that behavior is going on with our law enforcement agencies. And we saw a lot of that with this Russia collusion. We're seeing a lot of that with the Hunter, the Biden crime family behavior. We're seeing a lot of that happen, and I'm sorry, I find it hard to continue to back these organizations until something happens.
Nope. But we're going to continue to point out we're going to continue to point out the good and or the bad.
All right, Paul, we've got about 4 minutes. What are your
Yep.
final thoughts?
I'm going to start doing a little bit of searching in there. You and I talked about it earlier today, just to see if there's anything buried within the 316 pages of the report that, there are probably some things of interest, but I imagine it's a lot of government speak and such on that. Yes, as we said at the outset here, yeah, is anything, until we start to see perp walks on national television, there's really nothing that's going to happen. It's so far out of the minds of everybody in flyover country that they could probably care less. But
Yeah, you're right. Nothing's going to happen. So again, just if you're following the story, just enjoy the fact that what you thought was correct was correct,
yep,
because that's your satisfaction. No,
yeah,
we are
you get
not
a
going to
gold
see
you
Hillary
get a
Clinton.
gold star.
We're not going to see Hillary Clinton in an orange jumpsuit. We're not going to. We're not. It's not going to happen. We're not going to see Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton march into a federal prison in an orange jumpsuit. That's not going to happen. As a matter of fact, that's never going to happen. It's not going to happen.
Nope.
Just again, appreciate the fact, try to appreciate the fact that you were right and what you thought was correct, and the truth will find its way to the surface.
Yep. Hold fast to that which you now know did actually happen, and move on, and let's move ahead to bigger and better things in the coming years.
Well, and again, we have to attack to whatever the next thing is, and that's what this game is. Whatever the next thing is, be ready for it. You can't be hanging out in the past. It's been
Nope.
it's been 3.5 years. Nothing was going to happen. If this had come out sooner, yes, we could all speculate. If any part of this report had come out a year and a half ago or 2 years ago, maybe things would have turned out differently. Maybe. We got about 2 minutes. Paul, my last question to you is, and I heard somebody else mention this. I wish that was my question. The former President Trump's out there on the campaign trail doing his thing. What has he said, or what has anyone said that makes anybody think that what was done by the left in the 2020 election won't be repeated in the 2024 election?
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's, you and I've talked about this ad infinitum, that all politics is local, and you got to go be a poll watcher in your local precincts. You got to push for, because everything unlike the FBI and the DOJ, which is corrupt from the top down, we've got to make the positives move from the bottom up. And it starts at home.
That is very true. So, you know, if you've not been trained to be a poll watcher, if you've not been trained to, you know, to work in, you know, to work on your local polls, go ahead and go to your board of elections now and find out what the process is. And it's only, you know, it's a few days of training, and it's a, you know, it's a few days work, maybe a week for early voting and the 1 day of in-person voting. Be there, be the eyes and ears, and that's the way that we make a difference.
There we go.
Be behind the glass, helping to count the votes, and that sort of activity. That's really important. All right, Paul, we got to get out of here. Make me for somebody else. So until we see you again, we should go out there and learn some, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, take care of yourself. We will see you when you see. Thank you,
Thanks,
Paul.
everybody.
Appreciate you. Good night now. And let me hit the button. Where the heck's the button there?